Here's your Forbes Daily Briefing for Wednesday, February 7th. Today on Forbes, the Godfather of sour diesel pot returns to New York. Joe Murray, the silver-haired, craggy-voiced 50-year-old pot legend in the New York weed scene, grew and sold cannabis in the city when it was really illegal. And he has the stories to prove it. In the mid-1990s, Murray popularized the cannabis varietal known as sour diesel, one of the most sought-after strains of marijuana that fetched as much as $15,000 a pound back in the day. But this was the era of the black market and everything that comes with it. In 1994, his best friend was brutally murdered. His head was bashed in with a hammer while trying to collect money owed to him. In the years that followed, Murray set up multiple cannabis grows in apartments in Manhattan, warehouses in Brooklyn, and one inside a Chinatown bordello. Whenever Snoop Dogg came to New York, Murray always had a special stash of the hip-hop mogul's favorite bud called RBK. Another associate of Murray's, who smuggled weed for a Mexican cartel, opened a bale of marijuana, and his missing business partner's severed head rolled out. But somehow, Murray made it through that period unscathed, without so much as a drug arrest on his record, perhaps because his cult chronic, sour diesel, known for its energetic high and skunky citrusy aroma, was even more famous than he was. Yet Murray, whose operations Forbes estimates generated more than $10 million in revenue during a decade of producing sour diesel illegally, doesn't have much to show for his cash crop. While smoking a rolled cigarette in his living room in New York's Hudson Valley, he says, quote, "I never sat on millions of dollars. Money was being shoveled at me and I was shoveling it out just as fast." Fast forward to today. For the past few years, Murray has been trying to get into the $25 billion legal market. He was hired to run grow operations for licensed companies in Colorado and California, but it never worked out for long. Murray, who has been growing cannabis since he was a teenager, may have been the custodian for a lucrative strain, but he also has a habit of calling people working with him morons and idiots and dopes. That's why he's been known by the nickname A-Hole Joe. While glancing at the time on his Rolex GMT, a gift from his father, he says, quote, "I'm a little rough around the edges because I was used to dealing with gangsters and mobsters." But in 2022, Murray licensed his genetics and the AJ Sour Diesel name for an 8% cut of total sales to New York-based cannabis grower Flower House, and by November 2023, the first batches of the now legally grown strain hit the shelves of New York's dispensaries. For Flower House, a legal 36-acre cannabis farm in Walden, New York, which Forbes estimates to have sold $3.4 million worth of marijuana last year, co-founder and CEO Greg Tanner says that partnering with Murray was a, quote, "no-brainer." Tanner explains, quote, "Growing up a New Yorker, sour diesel was always something you looked for. It was that mythical legend, a strain by New Yorkers for New Yorkers." The varietal has lived up to its mythical status financially. Launched in November 2023, AJ Sour Diesel was the second best-selling brand for the retailer and sixth best in the state for the year, despite the fact that the bud was in stores for only 2 months. This according to sales data firm Headset. Like many in the cannabis industry, making the transition from being an outlaw to going legit is almost always fraught. There are some successful entrepreneurs, like Gilbert Millam Jr., who is known as Burner and who co-founded the Cookies brand, or John Elfand, who operates one of the largest chains of unlicensed dispensaries in New York. But even they have an uneasy time navigating the maze of laws and regulations imposed on them by the federal government and individual states. For full coverage, check out Will Yakowitz's piece on Forbes.com. This is Kieran Meadows from Forbes. Thanks for tuning in.